Hi, welcome to the Peaceful Home. Today I'm going to show you one of my favorite cookie recipes. These are perfect for Christmas. They are a molasses ginger cookie that is so delicious and the texture is perfect. They're super easy to make, so I hope you'll stick around. If you're new here, I'm so glad to have you. I'm TeresaElling. I'm a professional organizer, parenting coach, wife, and homeschool mom to 6 graduated kids. And this Christmas has been a little bit different. We had our last daughter get married, and we've had quite a few house guests and a lot of changes going on in our lives. And so this Christmas has really needed to be simplified. But I am preparing these cookies for all of my kids and my parents arriving on Thursday, so I'm going to go ahead and do these for you guys today. What you'll need for this recipe is butter, brown sugar, white granulated sugar, flour, molasses, an egg, and all of your spices: cinnamon, ginger, cloves, and nutmeg. I'm going to start by preheating the oven to 350 degrees. And we're going to take 1 cup of room temperature butter. That means 2 sticks. 1 stick equals half a cup. And we're going to cream the butter with the sugar to start. And this is a pretty standard cookie technique. I don't want to waste any butter, so I scrape it off in there. I've got my brown sugar here. It looks like I am almost at the bottom of the bin. And if you don't use one of these little terracotta brown sugar bears, you've got to get one. They will keep your brown sugar so moist and fresh. They're amazing. I'll link that below if you want to get one. They're super inexpensive. We need 3/4 of a cup. So we've got half a cup right there, and then 1/4 cup. And you want to make sure to pack your brown sugar well. Unlike other ingredients like sugar and flour, brown sugar needs to be packed in firmly into your measuring cup. And then 1.5 cups of sugar. I have a half cup measurer here. So I've got half, 1 whole, and another half. Going to mix this just until blended. Every once in a while, you'll have clumps of brown sugar that just aren't breaking up with the mixers. So turn it off and use it like a potato masher to break up those clumps and then mix again. Should be nice and creamy and fluffy and all one color. Next, we're going to add the rest of the wet ingredients. That will be 1 egg, and 1/3 cup of molasses. Now, the trick with things like molasses or maple syrup is to use your spray oil to coat the inside of your measuring cup, and then your sticky stuff comes right out instead of sticking to the sides of the measuring cup. And blend once again. Now we're ready for the dry ingredients. I do not mix these in a separate bowl. I just pile everything right on top of the wet ingredients. And then I'm careful to make sure that the baking soda or baking powder kind of gets incorporated into the flour before I dig down into the rest of the mix. This calls for 2 and 3 cups of flour. I've got 2 cups right here. I need another 3/4 cup. You want to make sure to fluff up your flour. It should not be compressed like your brown sugar. I use a whisk for that. And then you can use a knife or even the edge of the whisk to scrape off the top to make sure that you have an even amount. And 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Dump that right on the top. And then all of our spices are going in. So we need 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of ginger, and I am about out, so I would say I'm going to get maybe half a teaspoon. I'll just dump that in there. But I do have some fresh. You can find this in the refrigerated section at most supermarkets. I'm just going to add a little bit of that in. Next is 1 teaspoon of cloves and 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. Dash of salt if you'd like. And mix again. It makes a rather stiff dough. You want to make sure that everything's incorporated, but you don't want to overmix. I'm going to clear off a little space and put some things away so that we have room to put the dough balls on our cookie sheet. Okay, we're all set. I'm going to give the cookie sheet a quick spray. I use these air bake sheets. They are 2 layers with air in the middle, and these are a miracle. I grew up dealing with cookies that were overly browned or burnt on the bottoms if they were on a lower rack. You will not have that happen with an air bake sheet. I never have overdone bottoms on my cookies, which is awesome. What you want to do is take your dough, and you want about maybe a little less than a golf ball size. So you just want to roll these in a ball. And then you're going to roll them in sugar in the raw. You can also use something like these coarse sugar sprinkles or just regular sugar in the raw from the grocery store. And once you roll those in, you're going to place them a couple of inches apart. They will spread. I've had a similar cookie recipe that I've used for years, and this is actually a little closer to my mom's recipe. I adapted it a little bit, but it's pretty true to the one that she uses, and it's absolutely my favorite cookie that she makes. I will cook these for 10 to 12 minutes. You don't really want to overbake them if you want them chewy. My dad likes them crisp, so they get super overcooked for him, but chewy in the middle and just a little crisp on the edge is perfect. Well, when you pull these out of the oven, they should be slightly domed and low on the edges, and you can tell that they're just cooked. They're a little bit firm, but the inside almost seems to be a little undercooked. That's the way you want them. If they seem perfect, get them off right away. If you think they could use a little more cooking, you can leave them on the cookie sheet and they will continue to bake. Also, if you put your cookies on a rack to cool, they will crisp up a bit more than if you put them on a solid surface, which is what I always do because I prefer soft cookies. So I'm just going to put these directly onto my butcher block. You can put this on any type of tile or granite counter. This stops the cooking process pretty quickly. I'll put a few on here to start, but you definitely do not want to layer these or pile them on top of each other until they are completely cool. I'm gonna grab a cup of tea and then come back and try one. I've got my tea, ready to try one of these. They are delicious warm, and they're really good the next day. And sometimes I will pop one in a microwave for a few seconds or back in the oven for just maybe 5 minutes to soften them up. They're so good. They should bend, be nice and soft in the middle, but the edges should be crispy. It's crunching in my head. I don't know if you can hear that. That is perfect. Nice and chewy, a little bit crisp, delicious flavor. You can't go wrong with these cookies. They are just so good. A classic for Christmas. If you have not tried my eggnog yet, if you think that you don't like eggnog, you have got to try mine. I will link the video below where I go through the recipe. Ginger molasses cookies and eggnog would be the perfect combination. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Peaceful Home. Merry Christmas.